Okay, one question for every Western Conference team. I want to start with the Suns, and I think I actually want to think about their defense for a bit. So, if you look at last season, they were 7th in defensive rating in the regular season, but they traded for KD. Mikal Bridges was out. KD only played 8 games in the regular season. Now they have Frank Vogel as the new coach. Like, I feel like we can kind of wipe the slate clean with the defense and, like, kind of look at it moving forward. Some of this does matter on, like, who's going to end up playing more between, like, Okogie or Bates Diop, I would say, because Okogie gives you more of, like, an on-ball defender on guards, and then Bates Diop gives you more of that versatile, switchy wing who can also be a bit of a help defender, right? And so the way I'm envisioning it is, like, you know, if you could have Ayton in a drop, and then you could have, like, Okogie fighting around a screen on somebody and kind of get, like, your Mike Budenholzer defense on, or you could try, like, having Bates Diop as that help dude, because he's 6'8 with a 7'3 wingspan, and then KD, who's a good help defender, and obviously KD is huge as well with Ayton there. Like, that, those three would give you a good amount of size. Of course, Okogie and Bates Diop are not the only candidates for that other spot, next to KD, Book, Ayton, and Beal. And speaking of Ayton, it does seem like Frank Vogel is on a mission to get the most out of DeAndre Ayton. Like, he had a quote like a week ago saying, yeah, I want to feature Ayton more on offense because that way I'll get more from him on defense and stuff. And does that mean that Vogel's just going to yell at, like, Bradley Beal, like, hey, throw him the ball when he's got a seal in front of the rim or whatever? Like, we'll see. But yeah, big questions on the defense. So we'll see. Now we go to the Lakers. I do feel like a broken record on this one, as I probably will on a couple of these. I'm going right to Austin Reaves, man. Like, we saw just how much more responsibility they gave him on offense as the regular season got down to the last few days there, the playoffs as well. We saw, I've said all this before, him screening for LeBron was like a real weapon for them, or LeBron screening for him sometimes as well. And of course, we've seen Reaves in his foul drawing, getting defenders on his back, beating the Grizzlies when they were playing drop coverage on him in a couple of those games in round one, pull-up jumpers, the whole thing. And it felt like there were stretches of the Nuggets series where he just, like, didn't miss anything, That it seemed like that's where he was tapping into the, like, screening for LeBron stuff more. And so I hope next season he's not just sitting on the wing. And now, of course, look, it's still LeBron's offense. D'Lo's going to get his possessions, and AD's got to get all his shots. But Reaves can do some stuff, even if it's as simple as just giving him some more AD pick and rolls, Now we go to the Nuggets. I think the big question for the Nuggets is not as large as it is for other teams. Just how they're going to shore up the back end of the rotation. Bruce Brown's out. Christian Brown's going to get more minutes. We know about Christian's cutting and just toughness and having a good enough handle to make things happen if he's catching it on the move and all that. They've got some options. They got Peyton Watson, an athletic defender who has a little bit of something off the dribble. The big swing thing with him is his jump shot. And then they picked 3 guys in this previous draft, and all 3 of them were in college for a while. 2 of them, Julian Strother and Hunter Tyson, both very good shooters. And then there's Jalen Pickett, who's a little more weird, where he's a point guard. He's a very physical driving point guard who even, like, gets into the post and stuff. Now let's go to the Warriors. I mean, we all see it with what it can be with Kuminga. Like, he's shown flashes with the on-ball defense I've always raved about. This dude at some point figured out that if he just cuts in random moments within the Warriors' motion offense, it's almost like an automatic open lane to the bucket sometimes, And of course, the guy can jump through the roof, and then you think about, like, screen setting potential on and off the ball for the guy. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know he hasn't taken a whole lot of threes, even if his percentages have been pretty okay so far. For what it's worth, I think playing off of Chris Paul could benefit Kuminga and Moody really well. I mean, if CP is going to be the leader of the second unit, and he'll get minutes with the starters in certain stretches of games and all that, but, like, yeah, I could totally see Kuminga flying down the lane, and then CP throws it up to him or whatever, So we'll see. Now let's go to OKC. So real quick, I forgot to mention Ousmane Dieng in my OKC video from a few days ago, so my bad there. So my question is going to be about Chet, and it's going to be about his offense. Look, defensively, I think he already projects to be one of the better rim protectors in the league and all that. And offensively, of course, he's talented. Like, he's going to be able to make open shots. If he's open, he can attack a closeout. He can grab a rebound and go coast to coast with it right now. He can do all that stuff. What I'm wondering is more so the physical side of offense. So, like, screen setting, I'm always going to be looking at that with Chet. But also, like, how's he going to do against switches? How's he going to do with the wings trying to body him up? How is he going to do, like, if he's on the roll, getting it from Shea or Giddey or J-Dub, and then there's just a bunch of help in the paint? And, like, is he going to go through guys? Like, just all that. Now, look, he's already gained a little bit of weight from what would have been his rookie season before he went out with the foot injury, so okay. And I don't think he's afraid to mix it up down there either. Of course, who's guarding him is impacted by, is he the only big out there? Is the big man Jalen Williams out there with him? That stuff. Now we get to the Grizzlies. This is going to be the one time where my question is, will this team make a trade? Will they make a trade for a win right now wing? And if you want to look at last trade deadline, According to Zach Lowe, they made an offer for Anunoby that was multiple firsts. Now, the actual firsts that they had available to move at that time were not your typical, like, really good first, and they probably had protections on them, but nonetheless, there was an offer. They've traded for Marcus Smart. Even so, I think if they've got an opportunity to get a good wing, they should jump on it, and I mean, I think they've been trying to have Zaire Williams be that wing for him, just a two-way athletic wing and everything, but Zaire's had injury stuff. He just hasn't been able to get on the court like that. So that's the big thing. You know, I get it, like Ja, Bane, Jaren, they're young. Of course, Ja's out for 25 games to start the season. We hope the best for Ja. They still have a bunch of firsts that they can move even after the Marcus trade. Like, if they've got an opportunity to get somebody, I think they got to go for it. And they can do that because, look, they got Luke Kennard's $15 million contract. They got a bunch of smaller contracts, like their rookie deal guys and stuff. Now we're going to the Pelicans, and of course their health is always the biggest thing. But my question, I feel like you already know what I'm going to say. I feel like a broken record with this one. It's Trey Murphy. It's always Trey Murphy for me with this team. Do you want his stats in the last 15 games of last season? 22 points a game, 9 3-pointers a game, 46% from three. There's something here, man. Okay, this dude is not just a 15 points per game scorer. He's got range. He can make tough threes. There's some juice off the dribble. No, I'm not saying to run a million pick and rolls with him. But still, I think his ceiling as a scorer is decently high, and I think he has realized that. I think the Pelicans have realized it too. Like, Larry Nance on Zach Lowe's podcast basically was just like, yeah, this dude can be a star. And like, I know it's your teammate. You're going to say the nicest possible thing, but now let's go to the Spurs. So, of course, the real question is, like, everything involved with Wemby, between, like, is he the 5 or is he the 4 more often and all that stuff. And, okay, we'll see. And I think it's very easy to expect me to say Jeremy Sohan here, and I did initially, and then I thought about it more. I kind of actually want to go with Trey Jones, because Trey Jones looked very fundamentally sound point guard, good assist-to-turnover ratio, similar to his brother, all that stuff. And I do think that as far as a decision maker, he's going to do more for Wemby than, like, the guards in Summer League were, so okay. So I guess the question really is just his three ball. I mean, if you want to dive into the details of, like, his free throw numbers and his mid-range percentages and his last year in college where he actually did take some threes, like, all those percentages are pretty good, but they're not on the most volume. So yeah, I guess if Trey Jones' three ball can get there, because he can definitely set up like Vassell and Keldon and Sohan and Wemby and all that. Now for the Rockets, I'm thinking about the defense, and I want to see if Udoka can have an instant impact on this team defensively. And I mean, if you dive into the pieces, look, Fred, okay, he didn't have his best defensive season this previous year, but you would hope he can still be tough on opposing guards. Dylan Brooks, for all the things that were said about him in the playoffs, he made all defense, and yeah, he's a tough on-ball defender. I think Jabari already showed the IQ of being a help guy and all that last season. You know, it's definitely a question of how does Udoka see Şengün on defense. I might be not remembering this right, but I think they put Şengün in a drop mostly defensively last year. And so now with the defenders around it that I just mentioned, on top of like Amen, who I think can be good as a help defender right away, that could work. Or maybe Udoka wants to overhaul it a little more, I don't know. Next up we have the Kings, and you know, it's probably going to be Keegan Murray and just his shot attempts. And this is something I've said before, like he has shown something off the dribble, even if it's just like attacking off the catch, that sort of thing, handoff actions. And of course the Kings run a million handoff actions. He was a fantastic shooter his rookie season, and so can he just simply ramp up the shot attempts and all that? Now, sure, my big picture question with the Kings is more so about their defense, and, you know, I do think they're going to have to get one more really good defender at least. Now, whether that's like a wing, like let's say OG Anunoby, or a really good defensive guard that I can't think of right now. They have Davion. I think Fox has gotten better defensively, but would they need another one? Would they need like a 4 who can be more of a help guy next to Sabonis, even though I think Harrison Barnes does as good as you could ask him to be in that role last season for him. But we'll just keep it about Keegan for now. Now let's go to Dallas, and I'm going to be a Celtics fan on this one. I want to see Grant Williams get whatever his version of Unleashed is on this team, because for one, I think he's going to have the most corner threes created for him that he's ever had. I mean, in his last year with the Celtics, he shot a touch below 4 threes a game. I could see that kind of ballooning on this team with Luka and Kyrie creating for him. I think Jason Kidd is going to try to use him in like a million different ways defensively, whether that's as a small ball 5, whether that's as the 4, whether that's guarding whoever the hell he wants him to guard, switching on defense and all that. I also think he's got potential as a screener and short roll guy for him as well, so we'll see. I think he could do a lot for him. Now let's go to the Blazers. So because of the Dame situation, I'll admit, like, it's a little tougher to have a solid answer for this one. So I guess I'm just going to kind of cheat and say, how quickly is this going to be Scoot's team? Okay, and that's balancing shot attempts and ball handling duties with Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant who wants to get his shots up, and, Shaden as well. And just like, when is this going to be like, all right, Scoot's the guy, and we kind of go from there. But of course, potential Dame trade again, all that stuff. Next, I'm going to go to the Clippers, and of course, the number one thing with this team is always the health of Kawhi and PG. It's always a given. And of course, they have the whole James Harden, will they trade for him thing floating over them right now. So maybe this is me attempting to be like too niche, but I'm going to go with, will any of their young guys hit for this upcoming season? Because so you got Kobe Brown, who was their most recent pick, and Kobe, he is a big body, as in like 250-pound big body. And in college, he was able to just kind of be a powerhouse going to the basket, He's been a good, just like connective passer. He's been a good passer out of the post. His catch and shoot stuff has been like good if you look at his senior season, but before that, it was a little more rough. So there's some questions there, but we'll see with him. Amir Coffey, it's been like 4 years, so I don't know, but in theory, he's a wing who can make a little bit happen just overall on offense. And then you got BJ Boston, who you're hoping can be a shot creator. And then there's Bones Highland, so we'll see. Let's go to the T-Wolves. So we all know Jaden McDaniels' defense is fantastic. He did not make the all-defense team this previous year, but I think he was definitely deserving of a spot. It's just loaded, especially at the forward positions. My question is with his offense. So three-pointers-wise, he shot well. We can see if he can handle more attempts next season. Okay, cool. The thing with me with Jaden is I feel like there's more potential with him as an inside scorer. Because if you go through just some of his scoring games this year, like there's moments where he's like getting a little action run from the corner where somebody's setting a down screen for him, he gets it and then goes on the move to the basket. You've got some moments of him attacking in a straight line drive if the defense is closing out to him. You've got like the occasional on-ball screen that I've seen, and what's intriguing is in these moments he's able to bust out like some physicality at the rim. It's not just him finishing with a wide open basket, And so while I'm not suggesting that he should be running a million pick and rolls a game, I'm saying that if you take what is there, and there's something there with his inside scoring, I don't know what, but there's something there, and you combine it with more three-point attempts on top of how good he is defensively, and that's a hell of a player. We'll see if he can get there on offense. And finally for the Jazz, I am going to kind of cheat on this one. I'm just going to say development from the young guys. Look, Walker Kessler's offense, is it more than just normal center stuff? I mean, given how great he is on defense, like even if it is just normal center stuff on offense, that's fine. Abaji's three ball was overall fine last year. If you dive into the details, it was like game to game. It's like one game he's 1 for 8 from three. Next game he's like 5 for 8 from three. What's Taylor Hendricks' minute situation going to be since the Jazz, especially after the Collins trade, now suddenly have like kind of a lot of big guys? Are they going to let Keontae George cook on offense right away? Kind of just basic young guy questions.